May I now invite Venerable Pasanno Bhikkhu, abbot of the Abhayagiri Buddhist Monastery, San Francisco, California, to deliver a sermon.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. I extend my good wishes to the Venerable Sangha who have come here, all the monastics, the members of the diplomatic community, and the laymen, laywomen who are here today, ladies and gentlemen. Today being Vesak Puja Day, we're reflecting and remembering the life of the Buddha and the story of the Buddha. Our life as human beings is determined by the stories that we tell ourselves. We usually have a lot of stories going on in our mind, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are just dragging and dredging up the past. Some of them are worrying about the future. Some of them are obsessing in the present. But the story of the Buddha is the story of one who is awake or who has awakened. There's a well-known quote of Mark Twain's, of course, famous American writer, that said, "I've had many terrible things in my life, some of which have actually happened." And this is the reality. We tend to either get drawn into the stories of something maybe terrible, something that is desirable. But the Buddha is encouraging us to awaken. And this is when we recollect, so that the Venerable led us in taking the refuges and the precepts. The refuges are always recollecting the qualities which we can cultivate. It's not so much recollecting somebody in history, but it's recollecting what is possible for us, so that the qualities of the Buddha, when we take as refuge of wisdom, compassion, purity, these are qualities which we have the opportunity to cultivate and to embody. And that's what we are required to do, or are encouraged to do, in our taking of refuge, because the reality is we're taking refuge in many things. In our mind, we take refuge in our cameras. We take refuge in our distractions. We take refuge in all sorts of things. But to take refuge in being awake is the opportunity that we have as Buddhists. And this is what allows us to lay a foundation for the virtuous qualities that are intrinsic to the Buddhist teachings. And many people have spoken already of the emphasis on peace, on the emphasis on compassion, on the emphasis of harmony, and these are qualities which, of course, are worthy qualities to be recollecting. But we need to learn how to train within that and to take that as a refuge. It's like in the chant that we did of the Buddha's words on loving kindness. It's very interesting that in that chant, there is this wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. It's a very noble wish. But the first third of that chant is giving us instructions on what we should be doing. We should be peaceful and calm, wise and skillful. We should be humble, not conceited. We should be contented and not easily and easily satisfied. These are qualities we need to be cultivating, so that as Buddhists we have this opportunity and to be reflecting on the teachings, to be able to put the teachings into practice. When we reflect on the teachings, the most common teaching, if you ask most Buddhists what is the central teaching of the Lord Buddha, they will say the Four Noble Truths. And Four Noble Truths are generally delineated as the noble truth of suffering, noble truth of cause of suffering, noble truth of cessation of suffering, noble truth of the path leading to cessation of suffering. And what grabs people's attention, usually, particularly in the West, but also even in modern Asian cultures, is saying, "Oh, suffering. I don't really want to know about that." But the word that it comes from, dukkha, it has many nuances, and it's just the reality of the human condition that there is this experience of discontent, dissatisfaction, dis-ease, but also that is it's more of like a pointing to something that we need to resolve. We need to understand it. We need to know it so clearly that we can really be motivated to free ourselves, that we can be motivated to wake up. And sometimes where one say recoils a bit of this message of thinking that the message is about suffering, but it's like the Buddha and one of the images that the Buddha himself gives is that he's a doctor. And so, if you went to a doctor and the doctor asks you, where does it hurt? Where are you feeling discomfort and pain? You don't sort of walk away from the doctor's office saying, "Wow, what a lousy doctor. He's a really depressing doctor." It's an analysis of the human condition and paying attention to what is it that is going to help motivate us. So there is this truth of dukkha that the Buddha is pointing to. And of course, that might be a bit difficult to look at, but it's important to recollect that the path that the Buddha gives to train in, to cultivate, is one of happiness. All of the qualities that the Buddha encourages, the cultivation of virtue, of integrity, of generosity, of kindness, of mindfulness, and wisdom, these are all sources of happiness. But it's important to not try to grasp after that without resolving and creating a good understanding, because it's the understanding of dukkha that allows us to be really empathetic and compassionate, to be sensitive and clear to the human condition. And for the human condition to really live in peace and in harmony, it requires an ability to tune in and to feel what others experience, feel what we ourselves experience, and to motivate ourselves to this cultivation. So that on Vesak Puja Day, this is a wonderful occasion being held here at this auspicious place and on this auspicious occasion. And it's hopefully it is a reminder for all of us as Buddhists to put the teachings into practice and to live those teachings. Thank you.